you doing?
Today we're going to be making a cake. This is Sarah, our baker. Say hi, Sarah.
Okay, I'm gonna pee my pants. You need to stop.
That's one of her skills. She pees a lot. Some really good angles. Okay, Baker Sarah, show us your red velvet cake you're working on. She forgot the water, so it looks a little funky.
Okay. Hey, yes.
Oh my god, it's gonna splatter everywhere. I'm scared.
Okay, we're making a 2004 Infiniti G35 coupe SKYLINE blue, not midnight blue. It's a car cake. It is for Anthony for his 50th birthday.
It might look like a car after. We don't know.
I'm making red velvet cake with cream cheese frosting as the filling and buttercream for the outer part. The cake is a box cake, which Anna doesn't approve of, but I don't care because it's not even really about the cake.
She almost messed up the box cake because she forgot the water.
It's so good. So, okay, here we go.
That's really scary. The last time that she did red velvet cake, she literally got it on the carpet, all over the walls.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, probably because she forgot the water. Do you think that's hot enough for a cake?
Yep, 350. 350 is where it's at. Yo. Okay, stop recording.
Okay, go.
Okay, so cake's going in the oven. We have 3 13 by 9 red velvet cakes. Getting ready to go in the oven. It's ready to go. 350. Cooking time for one cake is 24 to 29 minutes. But since we have 3 cakes, it's probably going to take a little longer. And I don't know how long that is. I'll just have to keep checking. If it gets burnt, it gets burnt. I'm sorry. Hope you like your cake crispy. Here we go. Benji, get out of the cake box. Benji's in the cake box. Come on. Come on, come on. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so for the blueprints, or my little stencils, I went online and I looked up Infiniti G35. And I got something that looked kind of like this. And so what I did was I went out, I copied it, I printed it, I went down to FedEx and I blew it up to size. So what I needed was the cake to be at least, or exactly 13 inches long, which it is, and 5 inches wide. So I have the car from every angle, top, and front and back. Okay, and then I carefully constructed a cake box.
That looks a little janky.
Well, it's because cake boxes don't come in this exact same shape, but that's why I carefully constructed it with my mad construction skills. So this box, okay, anyway, here's your cake. Right, this is what the cake's gonna sit on. 13 inches long, 5 inches wide. The cake board is what this is meant to fit. And look at that, it fits perfectly, just like that. Benji likes to sleep in this thing, but it's not for him. So anyway, this foam is what the cake is gonna sit on. And it's been carefully cut out to fit the tires exactly where the tires go, just like that. Okay, that's it. Okay, cream cheese frosting. This is the glue that holds it together. I'm not gonna say who burned this spatula, but it wasn't me. Okay, so 1 package of cream cheese, 1 stick of butter, 4 cups of powdered sugar, and we're gonna do a teaspoon of vanilla extract. No cherry, please. No tomato. No cherry tomato. All right. Go.
It's gonna go everywhere.
Not if you got mad skills like me. Cakes are done, only slightly burned. Time to let them cool. Hey, it is a new day. We had to skip a couple steps of our cake project because I don't have a videographer anymore. I did, Annalise, but today she'd rather go hiking with her friend Ben. So I'm on my own. But anyway, fast forward, we now have the cake built, and I'll tell you how we did it. First of all, I do not recommend ever using red velvet cake because it's a mess. And it stained my cake board, and I honestly don't even know how I'm gonna get that crap off, but I'll figure it out. But anyway, we took our 3 cakes, that's the remains, and we cut them each down to 5 by 13. Then we built them on top of each other, one on top of the other, gluing it together with our cream cheese frosting, which is also now red because of this red velvet cake. We piled them on top of each other. This right here is about where they were at. So then we took our stencils, we put them right up next to it, just like this. And we used scissors and this knife to cut around the stencils. Now it's in the perfect shape, well, as perfect as it's gonna get, of a 2004 Infiniti G35. After we built it and got it all cut down, we took the remainder, or most of the remainder of the cream cheese frosting, heated it up a little bit so it was very liquidy, poured it over the top, and using this thing, we just spread it all over. And the purpose of that is to seal it so that when we go to decorate it, we don't have crumbs flying everywhere and it's not staining every little thing in the world red. So after we do this part, we now put it in the freezer for at least a few hours. Oh yeah, you also have to make sure you have a spot in the freezer that's big enough for not only the cake, but the cake box too. I had to do some modifications because come to find out this cake box does not fit that direction. It only fits this direction. So I had to cut the cake box or the cake board down a little bit on the sides to be able to make it fit. Right now we're not putting it in the box, we're just putting it on the board because we're letting that solidify. Okay, while the cake is freezing, we are gonna be getting our buttercream icing ready. And this bad boy, I got at Walmart for 15 bucks. It is 4 pounds. And by the way, I did my homework. Walmart is the cheapest place to get this stuff. It's cheaper than Amazon, it's cheaper than Hobby Lobby, it's cheaper than Party City. As a matter of fact, you can get pretty much everything you need at Walmart. It's the cheapest place to go, and it has more than any other place. Let's take a look at the car to see what colors we are going to need. This is a picture of the exact 2004 Infiniti G35 coupe, Skyline Blue. It's not midnight blue. Anyway, we are going to need a total of 5 colors. First of all, we are going to need blue for most of the car. Second, we are going to need black. This is for the windows, the tires, and the hood. The next 2 colors you really can't see. You will just have to kind of picture it in your mind. The first is white for the headlights and then red for the taillights. Finally, we will need gray for the wheels and also gray for this intricate little dragon I'm going to have to somehow replicate. Okay, so here is our frosting complete and ready to go. We have our Skyline Blue, or as close to Skyline Blue as it's gonna get. Sorry, I used every single drop of this blue food dye. Royal Blue was my option, that's it, so that's gonna have to work. Here's our black, our gray, our red, and our white. And again, these are the dyes that I used. $2 a piece at Walmart. Okay, we pulled the cake out of the freezer. It's been a couple hours. It's not frozen, but it's cold. And we're gonna try to at least put the first layer of icing on the cake. By the way, my hands are clean. I washed them several times throughout this process, for those of you who are wondering. Okay, here we go. Got the first layer of icing on the cake. And this is just the first layer we're gonna do. I'm gonna freeze it again, and then after that, we're gonna try to work on some details. I used this guy to put it on. It was pretty easy. And I'll tell you right now, I made way too much blue icing. Look at all that. But that's okay, it's better to have too much than not enough. All right, here we go, back in the freezer. So I forgot that this particular 2004 SKYLINE Blue Infiniti G35 coupe has a wing or a spoiler on the back. So I get to figure out how to recreate it. So what I did was I took a piece of the cake board that I used and I cut it out in the shape of the spoiler. And I just cut a little slit in the back. See, that's our spoiler. And I put it in just like that. And we're gonna cover it up with frosting. Sorry it's not edible, but it's the best I could do. So here's our car, all frosted in blue. And I'm not a professional by any means, so this is definitely gonna have some imperfections. But here we go. So here's our car. Remember though that cars have wheels. So we're gonna take this stencil again and we're gonna put it right up next to the car, just like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this tiny little needle and I'm going to pierce around where the tire is so we know where to cut for the wheel. Okay, so see how those tiny little holes? That's where the wheel's gonna go. So then we just get to play connect the dots.
Connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots, la 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 la.
Just like that. There we go, and that's where we're gonna cut. Okay, so using this little tiny cheap ass kitchen knife, I have cut out all 4 wheel wells. There we go. And between the blue icing and the red velvet cake, this cake board is completely destroyed, but we'll worry about that later. Now I'm gonna fill in the wheel wells with some more blue icing because we have a shit ton of it. Okay, there we go. Wheel wells filled in with blue icing, and we got more blue icing everywhere. This car is actually looking pretty patriotic right about now with red, white, and blue. And you know what? I'm actually glad we did not do midnight blue as it's supposed to be, because it's a much darker blue and it would be that much more of a mess. Okay, back in the freezer. Okay, here we go. Back out of the freezer. So we put the cake in the freezer a lot in between steps so the icing doesn't melt. It's the middle of July, end of July, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. So even in an air-conditioned house, the icing melting is a problem. So that's why we keep putting it in the freezer. But here we go. So we're gonna get out our stencil again. These stencils, we use them a lot. We're gonna put it up next to the car and see all the lines that we have to have for the windows and the doors and just all the lines. So we're gonna have to use this thing right here to carve into the cake these lines. And instead of piercing it like I did with the wheels, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it because that's a lot of work. So I'm gonna do that, I'll be back. Here we go. So I think I have all of the lines pretty much carved out as close as I can get it anyway. The windows, sunroof, windshield, doors, everything that I can think of. If I miss something, I guess I'll get it later. Back in the freezer. So now we're moving on to the black frosting. I put a bunch of black frosting in this frosting bag with this tiny little round tip. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go outline all these little carvings we just made. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll be back. Okay, here we go. Got all our lines filled in. So what we need to do now, oops, got the handle right here. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to fill in all the windows, windshield, sunroof, and everything with black. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So what I did was I took the black icing and I kind of scribbled in all the windows with it. Sorry, I would videotape me doing this, but my video girl, Anna, again, is on a hike. A really long one. Where? Sorry, 2:26. She's been gone for several hours. So anyway, we're just gonna fill it in, and then we're gonna take this guy and we're just gonna kind of smooth it all over. And we're gonna do that with all of them. Okay, here we go. All the windows are filled in. Okay, back in the freezer. Okay, back out of the freezer. Now, I'm gonna do something that I wasn't gonna do, but I think I have to. So I was gonna leave all this blue smooth, but because I am not a professional, there are a lot of imperfections. So I just kind of make an executive decision, and I can do that because I'm the one who's making the cake. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill in almost all of the blue with tiny little stars. See, I don't know if you can see that tiny little star tip on there. It's just all gonna be filled in with tiny little stars, just like that. Now, it's not gonna look as cool as it would have had I just left it smooth, but it's gonna look a lot cleaner because all these little imperfections are gonna be hidden by these stars. So, here it goes. Okay, here we go. So you can see I've filled in almost all of the blue with probably thousands of tiny little blue stars. So it looks not, like I said, not as cool as it would be if I had left it smooth, but it looks pretty cool. So the parts that I didn't fill in are the tail lights, the headlights, and the hood. And that's because we're gonna do those in different colors. Now he has a black hood on his car, so that's exactly what we're gonna do, is fill this hood in with tiny little black stars. All right, so I went ahead and filled in the hood with all the black little stars. And while I was at it, I did the headlights as well as the tail lights. All right, next, on to the wheels. Okay, time for the wheels. So, what would be something we could use for the wheel? You know what? An Oreo cookie might be the exact size of that wheel. But you know what would be even better than an Oreo cookie? This generic, much cheaper version of an Oreo cookie. Look at that. But since wheels aren't yellow, we're gonna paint them black. We're gonna do 4. All right, here we go. We have our beautiful little Oreo wheels all over the car, and we've further destroyed our cake board. That's okay. So the next thing we need to do is draw some rims on there with gray icing. And I'm kind of dreading that part because I'm just not very good at shit like that. Okay, so his wheels are very intricate, and I just didn't think I was going to be able to accomplish that. So instead, he got just a very generic wheel. Okay, so you know the annoying situation with the cake board and how destroyed it was? I figured out a workaround. So I just cut all around, just right around the cake. I created a new improved cake board, which is another piece of cardboard, and I covered it with foil so I can wipe it off in case any frosting or anything spills on it. And then I put glue in the middle, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift this cake up and set it right there on the new improved cake board. Okay, then I went ahead and added a border around the edge, in gray because that's the one I had the most of besides blue. I didn't want to do blue because there's already too much blue. There you go. There's your border. So I was thinking about this dragon and how I'm going to accomplish this, and I'm drawing a blank. So then I asked my super smart daughter, Alina, what her thoughts were, and she was like, hey, Mom, why don't you just draw the dragon out on parchment paper, fill it in with frosting, freeze it, then take it off the parchment paper and put it on the car. And I was like, wow, Alina, that's a great idea. So that's exactly what I did. And here it is, the dragon on the hood of the car. Last but not least, we've added the Infiniti logo to the front and to the back. And there you have it, a 2004 Infiniti G35 coupe, Skyline Blue.